Hi, I'm Sean Reardon, Mayor of Newburyport. Welcome to the latest edition of the Mayor's Corner. It is a beautiful day out there today, so we should be outside somewhere. I actually couldn't really figure out where to go, so Ryan and I decided to come inside for this edition of the Mayor's Corner. But it's just great seeing such nice weather here for the last couple of weeks, and it looks like it's going to continue into the weekend. First, it's 9/11, which is just it's always such a melancholy day, right? Because I think everyone, and at least in my generation for sure, everyone remembers where they were on 9/11, right? Again, 24 years ago, I at the time was living at home with my parents. I was working at the park lunch, I believe, and also working at the schools. And that day I wasn't working at the schools. I think I was substitute teaching or fill-in teaching at that point. But I remember just getting up that morning and turning on the Today Show, and one of the planes was the second plane was just hitting the tower, I think, when I turned on the TV, and that was just a crazy day. So of course we remember, the 3,000 plus who lost their lives that day. We remember Tom Pecorelli, who was very special to the NCM Hub. Grew up here, graduated NHS class in 1998. He was on American Flight 11 that flew into one of the towers. He was returning back to California. He worked for the E! Network as a videographer. He was headed back after attending a wedding here where he was able to see family. And then he was heading back to his wife, and who was pregnant at the time. So he was about to be a father. So just an incredibly sad story. I remember Tom as a kid. So he was a little bit older than me, right? So he was class of 88. I was 93. So I wasn't in high school with Tom. But Tom used to videotape all the basketball games. And so my dad was one of the basketball coaches, right? The girls' basketball coach. So I can still, as clear as day, see him behind the video camera taping one of the games down the middle school back then. But just a super guy. I know a lot of kids who grew up with him and graduated with him, and just, you've never heard anything but wonderful things about him. And so again, that was just a really tragic loss for Newburyport that day. This past weekend, we had the Field of Honor, and if you haven't checked out the Field of Honor, it's up at the Bartlett Mall, and you'll see all the flags set up. It's the 16th year the Exchange Club has done this, and it really is a wonderful ceremony. Unfortunately, Sunday it was quite rainy, so it was kind of an abbreviated ceremony. But Stuart Dean, who is the president of the Exchange Club, we had a deacon from the IC come and offer a prayer. We had Senator Tarr and myself there as well. Kevin Hunt always is there, our Veterans Affairs Director. So it's just a really great ceremony. Again, they actually added some students this year, which was great. I kind of talked to them about that last year because it's such a wonderful event. And honestly, not that many people attended. So I wanted to think of a way we could get more people involved. And so this year we involved some students from the Interact Club up at the high school. And it really worked out great. So it was really a great day. And I hope that ceremony can continue to build. Because it is such an important day to recognize and think of not only the people we lost that day, but just think of the bravery of our fighter fighters, our police, our EMTs, those first responders who are continually rushed towards danger for us instead of running away. And again, we're so lucky to have such quality people working in the police, fire, and EMTs here in the Newburyport area. What else is going on? So next Tuesday is kind of a big day. So, we've been talking about having like this community site visit for 59 Low Street, right? Which is going to be the next home, I can say that now, the next home of the Recreation and Youth Services Department. So if you've driven by there on Low Street, they are really moving along, which is really great to see. They've cleared the site. They've gutted the building. They just are putting the finishing touches on the new roof that they're putting on there. So they're really moving right along. We're still targeting November 2026 for an opening. But we never did a ribbon cutting there. So we thought we'd do kind of this is something we haven't done before. So we're calling it a community site visit. So it's happening 11 a.m. on Tuesday. And what we're telling people to do, and we'll get this announcement out a few different ways to you, but what we're telling people to do is we would like you to come, because it's during the school day, we want you to come park at the Fuller Field, right? The Bradley Fuller Field. So that should be pretty empty that time of day. So we're going to have people park there, and then we're going to shuttle people over to the site, right? Because it's a construction site right now. And so how we're going to set it up is we're not going to be able to go into the building that day because it is an active construction site, but we're going to have an area roped off where we'll do a ceremonial groundbreaking. We'll have a few remarks, and then we're going to have people in different sections, right, of the site where you can go and just wander around and ask questions and hear from them. So we're going to have like the developers, so like LD Russo, the contractor there. We're going to have the architect there. We're going to have our project manager there, Kim Turner, and then we'll also have the department head, Andy Egmont, there to answer any questions you have around this project. It could just be, things about the project itself. You can ask things about the department. They can ask things about, are there ways to get involved now in that? So, I mean, all those questions that you might have regarding around this, we're going to try to answer. And hopefully these are things that we do more often. I do like the idea of, again, this was just a big, massive vote that 61% of the people that came to vote that day came out and voted for this. So I think it's great to have this kind of check-in where people can come and see what their money's going towards and ask questions. And like I said, it's such an important project, so we're excited for that. What else is going on? So outdoor dining is wrapping up, and I know the weather is beautiful. They're saying, why are we stopping outdoor dining? Well, the majority of our outdoor dining takes place on State Street, and I've been talking about it for weeks now. We've had so much work going on there. So we finished the electrical work, which is great. We are now moving on to the sidewalk work, which has been ongoing, and then we're still doing we're placing some water valves underneath the street there, or inside the street there on State Street. So we're kind of working our way up State Street, so hopefully that work will finish next week. And then once all that is tightened up and finished, then we're gonna move on to the paving of State Street, right? Now for our DPS, this is quite a ordeal, not ordeal, but it's quite a thing for them to set these up and take them down every year. So I think when we talked about this and finally getting to pave State Street this year, we wanted to make it easy as possible, not only for the restaurants who are utilizing these, but also for the DPS who really just want to mobilize once to take these apart and put them away for the season. So that's why they're all coming down. There was some talk about maybe looking to extend, but I think where we landed was this is the best route for the DPS to be able to just take these apart, store them for the year, and then we can start thinking about next year on a brand new paved street at State Street next year, and then Pleasant as well, as far as having parklets next year. So again, it's a little bit early to the season. Again, I wanted to get this paving and all the street work done before downtown trick or treat in October. So it's just what we have to do to get this done. So again, I think we had a great outdoor dining season. Every year it gets more and more popular. I know the restaurants love it. I know we love it here too in Newburyport, and I know it's here to stay. So thank you again to all the restaurants for their cooperation, and especially for the DPS who is working hard to get all this work done in a timely fashion. I just want to do another reminder around back to school safety. You've seen we've put a couple electronic signs around town just reminding people like, hey, we're back in school. Traffic is going to be a little bit heavier. Be on the lookout. Because the weather's so nice, it's great. We got kids walking to school. We've got kids biking to school. Just be on the lookout for them. Try to take the foot off the gas a little bit. Again, it's 25 miles per hour throughout the whole city for the most part. Low Street's one of those big streets that still has 35, but we're working on that. But just be aware, right? It's that first month of the school year, and I think everyone just needs to be hyper aware of people on bikes and people walking to school. So I just wanted to throw that reminder out there. One of the meetings I had this week was around the Whittier shared campus project with Northern Essex, right? So I've been part of this working group that's been meeting now for close to a year, I would say. Meeting periodically, talking about this idea of Whittier and Northern Essex kind of joining forces on this shared campus model, right? Which is completely new, okay? So, and again, this is in response to the vote that failed a couple years back, failed resoundingly, right? 80% of people didn't think that was the best plan, that $500 million school that was going to be built right where Whittier currently sits. So there's a lot of advantages to looking at the Northern Essex idea. So this working group has been meeting, and it's represented by all 11 communities that are part of Whittier. And then there's Whittier staff, and then there's also Northern Essex staff involved in that. And they've been good conversations. So what happened last night was, we're in the MSBA process, right? The Massachusetts School Building Authority, and they've pledged to keep our place in line as we look at this. So there's a feasibility study being done looking at, is this even possible and what does it look like? So there's a couple things that need to happen here. We need to continue to work that track, right, to see what's the feasibility and what's the possible cost of this shared campus model. But then there's also that regional agreement that is an absolute mess and that we absolutely need to do something about, right? So how do both these things happen at the same time? So I think this group is going to be the group that does this, and maybe with some extra members of the Whittier School Committee on board. But it definitely needs to be tackled. And I do think we all need to be on the same page, all 11 communities, to get this done. Because if this is the path that we want to take, we all have to be in agreement. So again, we had a good conversation. They actually, at the school committee meeting last night, they voted on the who's going to be involved in the building committee, which is a little bit separate. And last time we didn't have much interaction as communities with this group. This time it's much different. So we are all appointing people to serve on this. And just for Newburyport, it hasn't really been out there and announced yet, but I submitted Frank Cousins' name to represent Newburyport. I mean, we're just so lucky to have Frank available to us here in Newburyport. I mean, he was sheriff of Essex County for decades, and so he is familiar with the people in all of these communities. And he's also a former board member at Northern Essex, so someone who actually has experience with both of these institutions, I thought was critical. And he's just someone who has a real finger on the pulse of Newburyport, and I know is going to represent us well in those building conversations and be able to report back to not only me, but the city council, the school committee, and the rest of the city about what those discussions, how those discussions are going around the building committee and this new idea that we just haven't figured out what exactly it is yet, but the shared campus model, which has a lot of potential. Finally, I'm just going to say the Senior Affordability Task Force met last week. They had a great first meeting. They had some action items that they set out, and now we're going to set up a more of like a public focus group that we're going to do at the Senior Center, right? So we're looking at the end of September, so probably my next Mayor's Corner, I'll have a date lined up, but be on the lookout for that because we want to hear from you. What are the things you're struggling with? If you're a senior and living in the city, and maybe there are ways that we can help, or maybe there's some policy we can implement that can help. So that's going on. We're going to do a couple in October as well. And just lastly, two more things. We had a wonderful little small Purple Heart ceremony today. So if you're in City Hall, come on down and check out the Veterans Hallway. But we have a brand new Purple Heart next to the picture of a fallen Newburyporter in the Korean War. His name was Harold Wandover. And his grandson, or great-grandson, or grandson, works for our DPS. And so he actually, years ago, this Purple Heart made its way to him. It got tracked down to him, and then we've kind of put it in a little case and put it by that in our veterans. So please come down and check that out. But that was a nice little ceremony we had for that today. Finally, it's Plum Fest this weekend, so get out to Plum Island. This is a wonderful event. Don't drive out there. You're going to park at the airport, they'll shuttle you there, or you can ride your bike out there. But it looks like it's going to be beautiful on Saturday, and there will be live music happening up and down the island. It's a lot of fun. Get out there, be safe. It's for a great cause, and I will see you all next time on the Mayor's Corner.